Hi everyone, you're listening to the Vialucci podcast, uncensored and completely unedited discussions about life and everything in it. We hope you enjoy the show.
If I've got any oh, sorry.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Hi
Hello,
podcast
if
time.
I've got any splash marks on me, it was because that bloody water thing in there. It goes from nothing, the where the water comes out of, it's like a needle. So it just goes from nothing to like take the skin off your hands and it's splashed on me.
It's like we never left with that kind of
quality
opening.
When we was filming the social contract, we had a scene in the tattoo parlour and I had a shirt on and like these chino things. I thought, let me just pop to the toilet. Went into the toilet, turned it on, all over to me. But so we had to do some footwork. So I ended up putting it into the show.
I was going to say, could you not have incorporated it into the market?
Yeah, I did. I think we did. We were recorded to say like.
I'm sure I've seen that scene because
Yeah.
I've watched this show lots. Our own stuff.
Yeah, we need to follow up on that. Well, anyway.
Anyway, hi.
Wait,
Yeah.
right.
Hi.
Yeah, we're recording. So, Dr. Kerem, hopefully a new. Talking of social contract, social etiquette. I think we should get it out there that because you're Dr. Kerem. But no, this is my point. I want to get it out of the way. I have to use it a few times. So if we just use it for this show, then we'll drop it the second time.
It could be special for you, Theo.
Yeah, well, it's sort of a test show.
We have needed this kind of level of class, to be fair.
Right.
Yeah, we're using this as a sort of an introduction show just to get back on. This isn't the full show. But we're sort of. Did you want to say something, Charles? No.
I was going to ask, what are you a doctor in? Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Well, apparently it's a doctor in philosophy, but
Ooh.
the subject's anthropology.
Oh.
That doctor of philosophy thing.
So what did you study to get that? It's a PhD.
Yeah.
Oh, see, right. So PhD.
Yeah, it's a really archaic term.
But
yes.
what? So before you're just studying archaeology.
Yeah.
And you decide what I want a PhD.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't actually. I was studying English. So undergrad, I did English literature. And I loved that. I love stories, and what I was really interested in is how stories told me about life and, what it all means and why people do different things in different parts of the world. And then I thought, you know what? Maybe I could just study that.
But what happens? How do you, when you say I'm going to go for a PhD, what do you do? Do you phone who?
Well, I wanted to teach. I wanted to teach higher education, at a university level at the time I started. And then by the time I got through the program, it just was so crushing and there are zero jobs and they're so poorly paid anyway.
For teaching?
Yeah.
Even in
at
university?
University level, yeah. Well, it depends on your subject. But anthropology so back up. In the US, anthropology is kind of the parent field for archaeology. So anthropology is the study of human culture. And there are different ways you can approach that. So you study
anthros, isn't that joint? Anthropology. What's the anthros bit?
Well, I think it's human.
What's
the study
joint?
of humans. I don't know. Maybe it is. That sounds entirely
No,
possible.
I'm getting confused. Archaeology. What's the bloody thing for joints? Anthro.
No idea.
Arthro, like
Okay.
you think about insects.
Yeah, okay, so I'm getting
and
joint.
all that. I think.
Arthritis.
Arthritis.
That's it,
So
yeah.
let's not
We're
talk
playing
about
word
that.
games. No.
So there's
not
forget
good.
that now. So there's anthropology,
Yeah. So you
Anthropocene. So that's humans.
The Anthropocene is the human
Okay,
era.
right, there we go.
That's
Right,
it.
okay.
That's it. That's exactly.
So archaeology. Okay, this is. I've just okay.
And yeah, it's the modern period,
Right.
roughly speaking, in which we've just buggered everything that's been around for millions of years, doing just fine without us. So it's the Anthropocene.
What is the official class of how long humans have been around? Is it 50,000 years? Or is
Oh no, into the millions. Yeah.
it humans?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Modern human, is that might be what I'm thinking?
Well, this is one of those really.
So you're talking about caveman.
contentious
You're putting that
issues.
as man.
Well, and women. There were women. There were
Yeah.
children. We're all humans.
Children.
It's
We've
just
clicked over to a new era.
I mean,
When we were last recorded,
where the
it was,
Oh, did I miss something?
no, it was a long time ago. So we've sort of the world has shifted since we've.
Yeah, we're in
it's
a
a cave
whole new
person.
era, aren't we? Yeah, we're past. Well, you know what? There's actually the reason that cave person
Yeah.
was the name is because the earliest evidence for human occupation is in caves, mainly in France.
Yeah.
where they have all these beautiful wall paintings. I mean,
Yeah.
they're gorgeous of the animals, mostly the animals that. We have various theories on why they're painted on the walls, but my personal theory is not that it's how humans survived by hunting these creatures. They were massive, massive, like mastodons and woolly mammoth. They would have killed any little early modern human that they came across. They had to sort of hide in the bushes and scavenge what other animals killed. So
we're going. Cave people have been around for millions.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's always being
50,000 years is modern man, must be.
Well, by 20,000 years ago, for sure, we have evidence for earlier
What about
humans
Neanderthal?
making art. Neanderthal is actually
50,000.
concurrent with some of the early modern human species,
Right,
but
yeah.
it's a different species.
Okay. So then we're on to art. When, do you reckon? 10,000?
Well, for
20,000?
sure, about 20,000 years ago.
So
but it gets pushed
creativity.
back all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's actually really important to people who study this sort of thing because it indicates there's time to do more than just stay alive.
Yeah,
That you've got leisure, such as you want to
And
call it.
is there
in
a
that sense.
specialisms within archaeology?
Oh, yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
What would-
Well, okay, so broadly speaking, time period
Yeah.
is often a way people describe their specialty. And so my training, my degree is actually in historic period archaeology, which in the United States means something different than here because we've got
Past 400 years.
I was going to say,
That's
I was going
it.
to say 19th century.
Our
Yeah.
history's nice and brief. You can read it in a night and you're done, you're set.
Yeah.
So
And
that-
what other, so it'll go back by era. That's what it will go back by.
Well, so in this country, the person who studies artifacts as well as archival materials generally is called a post-medieval archaeologist, but it's not. It's all about silos and identity and the way people like to identify themselves. Honestly, there's written records going all the way back to the ancient Egyptians and the Romans and all of this. It's just, it's written on walls. It's not documents that you can go look in the archives at. So
Did you give up the teaching thing? Just wasn't going to happen? Because of
Oh,
what?
no. I love to teach. And actually what I did a lot of teaching archaeological field work out in the field, which is really fun. It's like summer field, summer camp. And obviously you're having this exciting discovery process, hopefully. And I also like teaching in the classroom, but it's a really tough gig to get a job and to get tenure. And my field is quite narrow, what I was technically trained to do academically. And there's 500 applications for every job.
Why did you choose that specifically to specialize in? What reason?
For one thing, it was basically as far back as I could go in the historic period in North America. I'm really interested in more than just looking at objects, and I think you can do some amazing things looking at just the archaeological record and space and just the way humans have manipulated their built environment. But I remember I came from literature. I'm all about the written word, and I'm fascinated by that. And it's a very different kind of source of information. It's not at all given. There's a temptation to say, oh, well, we have historical records for this time period. Why do you need to do archaeology? Well, you never heard of propaganda or anything like that, did you? So
I'm thinking about the PhD just to get it clear in my head. So what is it? It's a specific. You spend a certain amount of time
spend
specifically.
way too much time, Theo.
But don't you? But don't you have to have a mentor or something?
Yeah. So
you say, "I want to have a PhD." What do you do?
I don't know how it works here. I'm just going to tell you how it worked for me. But so you generally come in with an undergraduate degree and graduate programs in academic departments in the States, so not something like law or business, tend to have either a master's, or they call it a terminal master's degree, which is like a year or two, or a PhD. And to do both, you have to do coursework, classes like you do as an undergrad at college and pass those classes. Then you take a set of exams. They're called comprehensive exams. And then to get the master's degree, you do a master's thesis, which is long, some independent research project. To get a PhD thesis, you do a much longer project, like 3 years worth of hands-on field research, and then you have to write it up. And, a lot of people sort of kind of tail off at a certain point
And you
in
have
that
to defend.
process.
Do you have to defend it?
Oh, yes, the defense. How could I forget that?
What does that mean?
Yeah, I still have nightmares about it. Well, you basically sit around a table like this, but the people talking to you aren't always so friendly as you guys are. And they just interrogate you on...
about what you found. Sort of thing.
Well, it's not so much what you found. They want to know why it's defensible. Why is it convincing? So it's really all about your method and your data. Is it legit? And how does it fit in what everybody else has done that even slightly relates to your topic? Because that's the idea. So the overall idea about the PhD is that it demonstrates, A, that you belong in this, club of, I hate to say it, but largely a lot of them unhappy academics, but that you're contributing. Right. So you're standing on other people's shoulders, but you've done something that's a building block other people come along and build on.
But it worried me there where you said it had to fit in with the other. Isn't there a sense of dogma there that what you can't be rocking the boat? Because wasn't
you sort of you got to kind of hit the balance between not upsetting the boat but taking it somewhere new. You know what I mean? So, but it's playing the game because they all had to do it.
It is. It's Jaws in space. You've got to give a little twist on a familiar.
But don't offend their beliefs.
Take something think. But then just sort of go eat Egyptians, but like also like spacemen.
But what was
synthesis?
What was Kerem's lot? What was the turkey thing? What was the
Kerem is our producer, and he is
Göbekli Tepe. Didn't that cause a lot of problems because they had to reset?
God, that's one of my favorite sites.
Because didn't that have to reset? Could you say the name again? Göbekli Tepe.
He's close actually. That's
Göbekli
Tepe.
Göbekli Tepe. Yeah.
Okay, I'll take your word for that.
Yeah, so the thing was that nobody really thought that was that time period. People were that smart then, so they did have to sort of break apart what we thought intelligence was back then at that time.
There is a bit. I think there is a bit of cultural sort of bias. I think there's a lot of people who look back and think, surely these people couldn't have built pyramids or cities or civilizations. There must have been something else going on because these people who are from possibly other countries and maybe not white. They couldn't possibly have thought up things that we have that we couldn't think up now, or all these different ideas.
That's what worries me, that there's always that whole system is forcing you to not. It's not like the scientific method or anything. It does feel more oppressive. They're not waiting for the truth to out and it's amazing. There's always you've got to. What didn't they say in science? First you're laughed at, then you're disbelieved, and blah blah blah, until you eventually it's
they laughed at me.
Yeah, and that's
they
what I
called
don't
me a
like.
Monster.
So the fact of the PhD thing, I bet that's not a free. They're genuinely listening to your opinion of what you found. I bet, like you said, it's.
Oh no, they want to hear. They really don't like it when you disprove what they said. Yeah. So you asked about mentorship, and that's critical. You'll never get through it without a mentor. Right. But the mentor can, be a more of a help.
Right. Yeah.
In some cases, not it. Honestly, it's one of the most political jobs I've ever done, and it was in many ways more frustrating than sort of corporate America, which I dipped a toe in a billion years ago before going back to grad school, but really was surprised.
So slightly as cutthroat as sort of the private industry, you're saying?
It is in its own way, and actually in a special way, because if you think about it, if you're an employee, you run a company, whatever it is, you produce a product or a service. It's something outside of you. But academia it's really a very existential attack when somebody says, no, that's rubbish.
Yeah.
And people take it very personally. And, I get that.
Yeah, because especially if you've built your whole life on a certain set of, it's beliefs. It's coming back to sort of beliefs.
It is, right?
It's beliefs and establishment.
It's not just knowledge. Exactly. It's beliefs. And I think that's a really good way of putting it, actually.
But that is interesting, because I suppose in the private sector you produce, so there is I like that idea that there's an external kind of element that you're producing.
Yeah,
and
you
sort
care
of
about it. You're invested, but
you're
it's
the paperclip company,
like you look at it
and
in
you
the
make
mirror.
the paperclips. You know what I mean? And you do the paper clips, and then you get you can sort of you can sort of look at how many paper clips you produced and how effective that is, and there's the systems. Whereas something like academics and something other more intangible sort of professions, you can't really do the same, and it becomes very
and do you
internalized.
Do you is it an open choice of what you want to get a PhD in, or is there like a list?
Well, as long as you can convince a department to let you in, I mean,
and what did you say? I want a PhD in what?
Yeah, well, you come up with a proposal. You say, this is what I want to do, and this is why I am well prepared to do it.
And what did you say? What was it you wanted?
I don't even remember. It changed so completely.
Really? Is that not stamped on you? The PhD in blah, 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 blah.
You know, I was really naive at the time
Yeah.
I applied to my PhD program. I think I made this really broad, generalized argument about as well developed as what I just said to you now, that, well, I was reading books and I loved literature and I loved how it kind of taught me something about the human condition. So why don't I just look at the human condition and study that? I mean, I think I dolled it up with some kind of nice flowery language. It worked. I don't know. So it sort of surprised me, to be perfectly honest.
Because I'm not educated, so the weight of the word PhD is quite heavy on me. But it seems like you were sort of like, I'll just have a PhD. I'll do a PhD.
You know what? I have been a geek since I came out of.
Have you got a good
womb.
memory?
Not always, actually. There are a lot of things I have a real difficult time remembering.
Yeah.
I'm a big picture person. Details elude me. I'm like constantly writing notes on my phone so I don't forget stuff I need to remember.
What year did you get your PhD?
2006.
And is there a ceremony that comes along like a graduation?
Yeah.
There
you
is.
get to wear the robes and
Did you throw the hat in the air, or was that me watching TV again?
I think I must have.
Yeah. And do you get?
See, this is. I told you I don't remember some things. I don't remember that.
Is there anything? What comes along with it? You got a thing that says
a diploma.
I don't know why I did a scroll.
Should have lied. Should have lied. Just made it up. None of us.
I had a quill and a feather.
None of us would have known.
Yeah.
I threw that
I
hat.
got a sword. I got everything.
And he froze when you jumped in the air.
That would have been cool to get a sword.
Right. So you did your thing. You got your PhD. Educationally wise, is that enough now? There was nothing that comes after that.
No, I did a postdoctoral thing too, just
so
because
what's
I'm
this now?
crazy. I did it here actually. It's called postdoctoral
Okay.
fellow.
So the
whatever.
doctoral is the PhD.
Yeah.
it's
So
post that.
postdoc, you can do one more thing. It's not a degree, but it's sort of a designation. And it was just another project, but it was on the topic of Victorian London, and it was actually here.
Oh, okay.
At it was a joint thing at Queen Mary University.
Right. And why that?
Museum
Any
of
reason?
London. I applied for it. I got it. I really wanted to do it. It was actually, though I am an archaeologist and they were hiring an archaeologist, it involved working with a whole bunch of collections that had been dug up at 3 different sites over decades in the area around London and stuck in a closet basically at the Museum of London because they were considered too late in time to be interesting. They were post-Georgian. So they were Victorian period, like 19th century, back to this thing of, why do we need to do archaeology? We've got all these written records. We got Charles Dickens, you know. Yeah. You need the archaeology because it tells a different story. But I was hired to actually do all the archival research, to try to associate these collections of objects from 3 different sites, house sites, domestic sites, as we call them, and try to reconstruct who lived there and who used this stuff and when. So I really wanted the job. I was so excited I got it.
And did you get the postdoctoral thing?
I got it. I even got paid to do it. That's the thing, you know.
You
do a lot of free work in this business. So.
Right. So that's the education side. So I've got 1,000.
Yeah.
So what are the biggest finds that have happened in history? What's the Rosetta Stone? That has to be one of them.
Fine. Well,
top 5. Like, what would have been the big things?
I mean,
Top 5 of
Top
all
5 things in
recorded
history.
human
Can
history.
We have a countdown of music
now.
like top of the pops. Number 4.
I think I want to know what you guys think. Actually,
Rosetta Stone. That's got to be up there.
Well,
Did that have
maybe.
Sanskrit?
You know what? It's really famous, but I'm actually thinking to myself, what was exciting about the Rosetta Stone wasn't finding it, but when they were able to crack the code.
Yeah.
So it was Champollion. See, I remembered that for some reason. This French guy, right? Who?
It was a mix of stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's written in hieroglyphic, which is the pictures that we think about on the tombs, and hieratic, which is their script form in ancient Egypt. It's like when they're in a hurry and they're writing in cursive. They don't have time to make pretty pictures. And I don't actually remember the third language.
Greek, isn't
It was Latin.
It was. I think Greek sounds more.
No, that's too modern. I thought it Sanskrit
it's
was
the Ptolemies.
No, I think it was Greek.
I am telling you.
Yeah.
Well, here we go. Now we're on to one of the things that I just don't remember, but they were able to decipher the code.
Right, yeah.
Because of the frequency of this, what's called a cartouche, and it turns out it's name of a pharaoh inside this symbol again and again, and they work backwards and all that. but
Because it
but
was
so
phonetic, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's exciting to be able to decipher the hieroglyphic code, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, what do you think? If you think,
Probably. I mean, there's the I
Dead
forgot
Sea
what it's called now.
Scrolls, is that a big thing? Or
Nah, it's all
No.
about religion, so you might as well just talk
Actually,
about
not all of
clouds.
it.
So, yeah, but, you know,
Dinosaur? Some dinosaur?
to finding a dinosaur was it?
I'm bringing it back to
Just dinosaurs.
just dinosaurs.
just-
no. I mean,
love
some
dinosaurs.
big,
Big. Just
I don't
innocent.
study them, but I think they're cool.
I suppose there's that lion-headed man. 'cause
Tutankhamun.
That was one. That's an example of when people
Lion-headed?
started worship. It's from somewhere in Germany. So it's got a really memorable name, like Luchwan Gungensteigen Vongendongen Lion,
Yeah.
and you're like, right,
Or
thanks.
Tefira.
Just
as we
call
like
it-
to call
no.
it. As we like to call it. on the choir.
Goodbye to our German listeners.
Auf Wiedersehen.
yeah, lovely. Because I think that was an example of when we stopped worshipping just people. Because it was an abstract figure. Because it's obviously
What was it?
lions don't have human
The
bodies.
Nazis sent out people to search for something about it was like
Well,
Here we
there's
go.
Indiana Jones is not a documentary.
no, I know, but he did.
It isn't. That's why I became an archaeologist. No.
What
That's
was
what I
the-
assumed. When
the-
you said
the
I was on the dig. That's
Fear
what I
of
thought.
destiny was one of the things.
Yeah.
Is that what it was? And what is that a religious thing?
It's meant to be the spear that pierced Christ's side.
When
And
he-
it's
when
supposed
he
to
was
make
being
you
crucified.
invincible in battle.
What about the shroud? Was that? Yeah, was
Oh
that?
no, it dates to the 13th century or something. Yeah, carbon dating.
Tutankhamun,
Carbon dating is the thing. It's like the big spoiler.
It's like what are they called? The things you could buy them. You know what I mean? Catholic things.
Relics and stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
You're like, this person had an awful lot of fingers.
Bones,
So
yeah,
bear in
yeah,
mind, you're
everyone-
selling them by the pack.
Yeah, they had like bagfuls of
Yeah.
St. Paul's like thumbs and stuff, and it's just like, where are you getting all these thumbs from?
Well, there's something like 36 sites that claim to have the nails of the true cross.
Oh, right,
You know
yeah.
that's they
was a-
didn't nail him that carefully. I'm sorry, that would have taken.
It's a lot of nails.
They really nailed him down. Yeah, there was a guy on some podcast, and he was saying he wanted to get his. He'd paid so that all his family, as they died off like over 2 generations, would be buried in armor. He said, "I just want to confuse people in the future." Just like thinking, I go, "What era is this?" Well, that's the thing. I've always wondered this, and you're going to laugh, but I'm just getting them out of the way. When is it okay?
It's going to be aliens. isn't
No,
it? It's
when
gonna
is
be
it
aliens.
okay to start digging up dead bodies? Because if I say 100 years, you go, no, you're a psychopath. If I say 1,000 years, you go,
I think it
No.
depends on the purpose.
but
Yeah, I was
that's
just.
what I mean.
I
You're
was
looking
gonna
for a
say, like,
girlfriend,
yeah.
never.
Why?
Because if you say,
Yeah, in what context?
Well, at least she
No.
doesn't talk back. But wow.
if you say there's a body, no, because there was no context. If you say there's a body there, see, I told you.
I mean, there's no context.
No, because let me finish.
Okay.
If I say I found a body and we think it's 50,000 years old, no one's going to go, well, why are you digging it? It's just, no, it's old.
Are you asking
Dig
at
it
what
up.
point do
How
we have
would
to
you-
call the police?
Yes. When do you stop calling the police?
Yeah,
Is that like-
You go, hang on, we just found a body. I think we better talk to the
Well,
police.
yeah,
And
because
it's
there
like-
must be a legal term that says, no, you can't do it then. But you
Yeah.
can do it then. A million years, you're digging up the body. I don't care who's.
Oh, yeah, but how do you? Here's the problem. A little bit of a chicken and an egg
Yeah.
problem here, Theo. I mean, you can't possibly know how old it is till you dig it up.
But that's what I mean, I don't-
you can
what
say,
are the
"Oops,
rules?"
it wasn't a million years old. I'm going to bury it again."
But say you like a what the tomb comment? What would you buried in the tomb or whatever? You know,
Yeah.
right? They're digging it up. They're not going. Well, maybe it might not be that old. They're going. Well, no, it's
It was
buried.
1922, and it was the age of empire. So it was a little bit. Things are different now.
But that's what I mean.
I'm a British man.
I know
world is
better.
my
Let me enlighten you.
But if you're a building contractor and you're doing
Yeah.
digging work and you're 30 foot down and you hit bodies,
You
does it
stop.
automatically become a murder scene?
I
Do you know
think
what
you
I
have
mean?
to call. I
Well,
think
no, it doesn't become a murder scene. But
But
yeah,
that's what I
yeah,
mean. What's the rules that govern?
Having seen several Law and Order episodes on this, I have to say it seems
yeah.
that they immediately call the Lenny Briscoe and Detective Green, I believe, and they come off and have a look, and then they say, actually, this body was 20 years old, and then they investigate.
In fact, interesting. I knew a copper, and she said to me, whenever you turn up to anybody who's passed away, it could be an old lady in a council flat. When you turn up, it's a murder scene until you can convince yourself it's
Is
not.
it?
Yeah,
Oh.
everything's seen as a murder. They go from that end until you can convince yourself it's not a murder scene.
Murdered by time.
Well,
Yeah.
because they have to assume, because in case you have to assume it's a crime scene, basically.
Yeah.
And so then
initially.
you
No
don't
matter how
touch
simple
anything,
it is.
right? So you
Yeah.
don't destroy evidence.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
Because
It's
even
the
if it's
That's
an
a
old,
grim way to start your day. I'm off to see another murder scene, honey.
Oh,
See
I
you
knew a
later.
few people in the medical profession. One's at police officers as well, and they have to do this thing where they take you to show you a dead body. So I can't remember the medical, but the police is certainly, you get like not a mentor, but you've got somebody that's been there years before for a month, and they wait for a dead body to come up. It could have been an accident, could have been passed away, and they try to get you in front of a dead body as soon as possible, just to see if you're one of those people that just immediately faints. Like some people have sickness and don't like it, but some people just like that will go out, and they have to know in advance. So medical professions, they literally, in part of your first year course, they just get everyone in a room, knowing that about, I think it's 10% of people are just going to pass out immediately. They don't even know. They see the dead body and they drop.
It's like blood. It's an automatic reaction with some people. You know.
Yeah, I know somebody that as well. He
I'm
goes
like
into the
that.
doctors and he has to tell them, I'm a fainter. So they lie down, they put the needle in, and he just goes out.
That
Well,
feels like
I've-
a design
I've got
flaw,
the-
doesn't it?
Yeah,
I have that design flaw.
But that's what I mean. If you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger and it scratches your leg, you're like, well, I'll faint now.
I
and
also
then you
was
lunge.
deeply
That's me,
myopic. I would have been left on the hill to die in Sparta 1,000 times over.
Yeah, so... If you I said there's no answer because you're not taking it seriously.
Well, no, because he didn't frame the question. But like, if you find a dead body, you have to tell someone about it. But the question is
No,
what
you're telling-
you then
yeah, but
what
it's
you
like-
then do with it is what you mean.
I suppose you just you can't do anything. You've got to call authorities and then they decide, isn't it? It's a set
I
process.
don't know. Can you like keep it if it's older than like 200 years old? Like, can
Can
you
you keep
it?
anything? If I find something in the ground now, a gold nugget from whenever, or not nugget, a coin, is that yours? What's the rules?
Yeah, okay, no, it's
'Cause it's
not.
Queensland,
It's not
so-
yours, although there is a pathway to which you could possibly
Right,
be
yeah.
compensated for it. And it's something called the Portable Antiquities Scheme, and it was put together, oh gosh, I don't know how long ago now, probably a couple decades ago, but it was developed to solve just this problem because it's in everybody's interest to have fines donated to
course,
the British
yeah.
Museum or wherever.
Good of the nation. Yeah.
Yeah. And so basically, to cut to the chase of it, I could tell a fun story, but I'll save it. Okay. I was involved in researching one of these ones, which was kind of cool, and it was a big bucket of coins, basically.
Oh.
But anyway, yeah, you have to report it, and it gets researched. And if the land on which the treasure was found can be associated with a private owner, it's due to them. There's certain ways in which some of it is owed to the crown, but the
Okay.
finder can benefit from
yeah.
it sometimes. It's
Yeah, because
complicated.
museums they can even give you money, can't they? to
Oh
buy it?
yeah, they often will.
Have you done many digs, like an actual dig?
Oh yeah.
And have you ever found anything?
You always find something. That's actually the most common question. I promise you stick a shovel in the ground, you're going to find something.
Right,
Is it
yeah.
what you were looking for? Honestly,
Might be
probably
a rash.
not. Yeah, there's that too.
Because you can't go onto a beach and thing now anymore. You need to have a license.
You can, well, there's mudlarkers, as they're called in the Thames.
Yeah.
You have to get a license.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Because the Thames is literally a gold mine. I
Right,
mean,
yeah.
it's always washing stuff up. I mean,
Okay.
I knew a guy in New York, and he said if they ever drain the Hudson River, I said it's just an armory of weapons that have been thrown in there.
probably.
I was thinking
is.
it's like that Simpsons episode where Kramer starts swimming in the Hudson,
Oh,
and,
right.
and everyone's just like, "What the hell is that smell?" And he goes, "Oh yeah," he goes, "I'm in there. There's loads of guys in there swimming." He goes, "Some of them aren't moving very much, but there's loads of people there."
I did years ago. I had to do this course, and there was like 7 or 8 people there, and one of them they gave their names, and somebody went, "I know that name," and he went, "Yeah, we did this thing," and I can't remember the details, but basically it was in England, and they were divers, and they found something, and it was in a ship under. It was only like a local thing, it wasn't? It might have been up north, but by some docks, and he found it. And then for a year, him and his mates were just going and taking everything. And he said, we knew we were doing wrong, but he said, like, one of the things that we found, some plaque, he said, I actually had it up on the harbour, I put it up on the wall, but then he got in a lot of trouble, and like there was hundreds of thousands of pounds worth, and I think there was 15 things that he took, and they found 10, and the others, but they started grassing each other up. That's what happened.
Yeah.
But he said there's still 5 that he said.
This
don't know what
kind of
happened to them.
stuff is kind of hard to fence, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you wonder these people who steal a Van Gogh painting and think they can, like, why do they want to put it in their closet and look at it every now and then? I mean,
you've got to tell
just
somebody,
what's the
otherwise-
point?
Wasn't there a theory that when the Mona Lisa was stolen, it was Picasso that had it was somebody?
Isn't the Mona Lisa really small?
It's really
I always
small.
thought somebody said no, it's quite
massively.
small.
It's massively.
It's small and
disappointing.
it's kind of dim and it's not that beautiful. I
Yeah,
gotta
I
say,
don't
I'm going to
understand.
go on record saying I don't get it.
Why is it an expensive piece of art? Who painted it?
Da Vinci.
And what is it? Because it's one of his.
I think there's things to do with how it's, but it was because it's Leonardo da Vinci.
Right, yeah.
So it's that's what you're kind
Oh,
of
okay.
that's what the interest is because
The
yeah,
what?
yeah.
The technique, boom or something, the background technique where he uses, you can see the actual air in the.
Oh, come on.
There we
no,
go.
really?
Bit of
I
education.
thought it was
just
her
make-
smile. That,
Yeah, the
it looks like
mystique.
she's in a bad mood. That's not a smile.
Did you just make that up about the air thing? You painted the air. I've painted the
But
air.
I think the effect is that you can see air shimmering. But yeah, it's a bit. But like you see, like the Venus. Is it Venus de Milo?
Yeah.
Milo. And you're like, there's other statues just as good, and they got fucking arms. And
Yeah.
why are you bothering about? Like honestly, get in the bin.
Oh, so so have you found anything yourself?
Yes, you always find that. I mean, but it's not what you think about.
Yeah, but what have you found? What have you?
Most of it's broken.
Right.
Let me let you in on the big secret of archaeology. It's digging up other people's trash and trying to put
Yeah.
it back together. It's like some puzzle without the picture on the cover of the box.
Right,
You
yeah.
know, you don't dig up these beautiful whole things in most sites.
I grew up in
It's
farmland,
just-
and I did nothing other than just wander around the farmland. And I dug up what was a load of broken reddish crockery. But because I just had no teachers or anything like that, I just didn't. And it's only now when I think back about it, I'm thinking, what were all those crockery that I've dug up? Like loads of it.
That's
like,
how they
loads
found the
of-
Did you try to
terracotta
put it back
army.
together?
No, because I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a chimney or something. It's only like 7 years ago when I suddenly realised, oh, that stuff I dug up, that must have been, because it's all fields. I thought that
Must have been
a
from
load-
IKEA.
I'll never forget one of my teachers. Just this is what I hate, because I was listening to Stephen Fry, and he was talking about he wanted to do something at school, and he went to speak to his teacher, who's an author and so with a PhD. And I thought, my teachers were like, they didn't go. I found something. It was I think I've said this before. It was a stone. You know, if you got Play-Doh
Yeah.
and you rolled it, and it starts to go like that. It was a stone about that big, perfectly flat on all edges, perfect. And I remember taking it in. I had it in my jacket, and I took it into school. And then she just said, "What was that?" And I said, "Oh, I found this thing." And she said, "Oh, it's fake." And I thought, "Oh, it must be fake." And I threw it away. I thought, bloody scumbag, low-level
And
teachers.
then she picked it up the bin, sold it to the British Museum for 50 grand.
Yeah, see on the picture.
You're like, why did that teacher never
But to
come
this
back
day, I
after?
think there was like no avenue for like life getting better. No one cared about what anyone was doing.
It's a classroom of 30 people. That she's
But the
just,
broken
you know,
crockery. But I felt like there was no avenue for me to sort of get that. I could have gone, "Oh, what's this?" And somebody gone, "Oh, well, that." And then it could have been a dig.
But that's what I
and
said. That's how they found the terracotta army.
Oh,
Because
right.
people were visiting in that area, and they're like, "Your bowls look an awful lot like the upside down heads of
Yeah.
some statues."
Yeah.
because it was all because
Oh, I
they
didn't
just found it
realise.
all, and
Yeah.
Isn't that
because
the-
it was all just completely covered up with fields.
Is that how they found
Like
the-
a farmer was out in his field and,
Yeah.
and the dog ran into some opening and he chased the dog and found, I mean, yeah, that's a stunning sight.
I was watching something on Archaeological Dig, and it was they dug up tanks, right? The weird thing was they said it was like a time team. It was like one of the
Yeah.
BBC or whatever it was, and these nerds had assumed that through no, it was like stories, and they pieced together privately with these guys that there must be tanks
I
here.
don't know, some nerds.
But I'm just cutting the story short. But it was people that weren't professionals that just had an interest in these things, and a couple of mates. And then they went and paid for this private bloke who had the equipment. So he came down and they read these things because there's stories about tanks coming up. They were training here or something like that. But the thing was, when they did this dig and it turned out, oh yeah, there's probably tanks in. They scanned and there was like 12 tanks buried. But the thing was, it was only like, I think it was like the late 70s or the late 60s. But it was 30 feet underground. Like that's how.
Seems like an awful lot of work to hide a bunch of tanks.
So that
Could
when you saw the hole to get this one tank out, I thought, and they got it out and they cleaned it all up, and I thought, obviously it's heavy, but I thought that's 30 feet, and that's recent history. 30 feet.
Did they just bury them after the war or something because they couldn't be bothered?
Yeah, I think to get rid of. But then they turned up. There was like another. Six
you don't
around
want them
it.
turning up on the black market, though,
Yeah.
do you?
Yeah, I know, but they looked old. They were old, and they cleaned them up and all that.
My
But
grandpa
it
has
was
a
just
story when he was after the war. He was, everyone's packing up and leaving. He was out in India, and he was told to burn all these Spitfires. He just burnt like
Burn them.
50, 60 Spitfires because they were just withdrawing. You know what I mean? So like, but he's just like, and even after the war, he was like,
Could have tucked one of them in. Shouldn't have brought back that massive Toblerone. Should have brought one of them.
Taking the wing.
You don't know though, do you?
No, you never know.
You know.
No.
But it was fascinating to think just 30 foot down, and that's within our era. So think of what is really there, like all the answers,
Well, I mean, it helps that we've got massive JCBs now.
Yeah, no, but you're never going to know that. Not going to dig up stuff that you don't know. But it's just how much information is down there, just sat there, and that's 30 foot down in the 60s. So like forget it. It's like we don't know anything. We're just putting things together. When you was talking about hieroglyphics, I say this, and it's like people just wash over it. But do you not think with Twitter and all that, we're literally going back to symbols? It's starting slowly.
Yeah.
But we would literally, and what happens is,
Yeah, but words, letters are symbols.
yeah, I like that. Yeah, but it's cutting out the sentence just to a symbol. But what happens is you're losing language. So you're actually de-evolving because there's no nuance with a symbol with a symbol in it. There's no language there.
Are we creating a more casual language? Like there's sort of, as in there's kind of like formal and informal English, you know?
What do you mean?
Well, some languages have this. Spanish has this. You know, they have an informal syntax or whatever,
Yeah.
and grammar, and they're formal. You know, they're formal ones. So formal, and informal, and it's the same thing. Sort of possibly with English is that we are through social media and computers and whatever. We're creating almost a subsection of informal English used to communicate by that.
Yeah, but what happens is it's not an addendum. You're not getting an extra with what will happen is language will fall away. Because all you have to do is go, let's just look at it 200 years, 200 years, 200 years.
I don't think it'll fall away. I mean,
or
because
a second
you
two
lose the
classes of
nuance,
people.
as you say. You can only say so many things. I mean, I guess, are you suggesting that maybe we run the risk of regressing to the point that we can only say, me, Tarzan, you, Jane, again soon?
There was a program about nuclear war. You remember when the Spate came out in the 70s? Yeah, Threat. There was an American one, there's an English one.
What's the American one? It's
The Last Day or the
Day after, isn't
the
it?
day
Oh,
after.
the
That
day.
was,
All those shows, those still give me nightmares.
But the British one, there was a few, but one of them at the end, they did this thing where they skipped forward 100 years. Like they're not only one of them did it, where but people like the language had fallen away because there was no need to talk about art and all that, and they went forward 100 years, and people had reverted very, very quickly to like a language of like it was almost grunting, where it was food and water and thing because there was no need for the language.
I don't think that's the case. We use more words. Like the average child has more vocabulary than Shakespeare did. Like I can't remember the exact figure, but the amount of words that he used in all
yeah,
the
but
words
what
that
I'm
Shakespeare
saying is
versus-
they're now going backwards. It has been that. I don't believe
there might be a shift, but then you would still need the nuance.
No.
Well, as I said, I think it's sort of more possibly creating a subset of English. You know, as I said, because other language, French do this as well. You know, I mean, they have sort of the more formalized.
Tu and vous.
They have but they have sort of more formalized sort of French, and then they sort of have this slang French. We do verbally in this country. I mean, like we do. I talk differently to my friends or to people, informally, like I know than I would to my boss or the vicar or whoever or my elderly aunt or whatever. I sort of tone that down a bit, and even especially when you're talking to maybe someone who's not born in England, I'm sure. I don't know. Do you ever have issues understanding us?
Oh, the common language that divides us?
Yes.
Oh, no.
I when I talk to kids, because I just watched the gradient that was sliding down, and I sometimes when at the gym I'm talking to them, and I'm telling you now, as they're speaking, I can hear the gaps where they don't know the words to use. I can see it. They're used to the very, very basic language, and that's what I mean. Nobody's watching it. It happens so slowly, but I'm talking to them, and you can hear them trying to form what they're trying to say, and you think, oh, you didn't know what word to use there, so you use that instead. That's happening now. That really is happening.
How
It's
old
not
were
an
the
accidental
people there?
thing. Sorry?
How old were they?
Oh, 18, 19, 20s. I'm not talking about kids. I'm telling you, I'm talking to people, and I can see them using words. And I'll tell you what, it happens to adults as well, because when I was fluctuating with life, when I was doing this and having to go back to like cash in hand, basic jobs that nobody wanted to do, and you could see the language shift where they only had certain words, where they would use a word that they didn't really mean, but they'd heard it and it sounded similar, and I would hear it going, his vocabulary is like down here. He doesn't know. He's never used words before, and the word that he could have said there, he used a word that doesn't really mean that, but it's the nearest word he knows. And kids are doing it now.
I think you get a lot of Dogberryisms now.
What's that?
Malaprop, where
Malapropisms,
people are using a word that sounds like.
Oh no, this is like they're not some of them can't read and things like that. But I've noticed it in kids now,
That's probably why their vocabulary is limited.
No, because I'll tell you another thing. So, as I said, why I think I learned a lot about people is because when I did start to change my life, it took so long between doing all this and then when I did fix everything, deciding to do something else, which took another 10 years. But I still needed the money. So I had to keep going back down to that sort of work. And I would notice, and not for months, I'm talking about for years, I noticed that I started to forget certain words. Like I'd be talking to someone and go, oh, I haven't used that word for years. Like, what was the thing? And I thought, oh my God, I'm literally going like I can feel it. I noticed my dietary habits were changing because I was early morning, everything. And
your brain can get a bit flabby. Like if your body, whatever, you don't exercise. Like, you don't use your brain.
But with young people, it's happening really quickly and nobody's keeping an eye on it. And then when you add in the symbol problem, where people are now just going at to house thing that.
Eggplant emoji.
Yeah, word language doesn't stay there. It falls away.
What I'm struck by is how much consumption of media has shifted from the written word to watching a screen or listening with kids. And I don't know, maybe that plays into that a little bit.
Well, I watched there was like Louis Theroux documentaries, and he's often going to American Louisiana and things like that. And I'm telling you now, if you could go, like it would do things in Louisiana specifically, I don't know why, but there'll be one 10 years later and you can hear the language change where it's almost, they're not separating the words anymore. It's like tall out there, and you go. I now don't.
Is that just a region? Maybe because I'm sure we could go to like.
Well, the regional differences, the US are so vast that it's almost like it's not the same language.
No, but
it's beyond.
It's often the gang things. But I'm telling you, if you watch it now, you can go back and you can hear how and you can also see it being used in music videos as well. You hear the language change from there to there, and then from there it goes to kids, and then to there, and you can hear them. So like kids here now, you can hear them when they start speaking Americanisms and they say cops instead of police and things like that.
Feds,
they're hopos.
Feds.
Yeah, well, someone said said in 5-0. I guarantee he doesn't even know what 5-0 means. He's only,
but that's because of culture, isn't it?
Yeah,
but I mean, it's not that. That's the difference of words. But what I'm saying is, they are definitely, the words are becoming less and less and less. And what I'm worried is that you'll always have a private education system. So I'm worried it's a two-tier thing. One isn't changing because those kids at the top, they ain't changing. They ain't saying in it and blah, blah, blah. Because they have to stay the way they are because they go from there to there to there. It's only the people at the bottom where everything starts to fall away. And you see there's a tear in society because they're not changing. Poor people, it goes down. I'm telling you, I've noticed this for about 3 or 4 years. Young people, the language is
Are you
going
trying
down.
to tell me that the rich upper classes have a better education than the...
No,
yeah, no, but
is
what I'm
not
saying
possible.
is more
Sorry.
stable.
I don't
It's more
buy it.
stable. They can't get away with using certain things. I've said this before. This stayed with me. I was listening to a radio show. It was probably like 15 years ago now, and they were talking about language or something like that. And the guy he said he phoned in, and he'd been in recruitment for 30 years, like hiring people. Okay. And he said, what I would always have since the day dot, he said, I'd always do certain things to test young people that were coming through, because usually young people. And he said, the waiting room, I always made sure I used the room as my office with the spy hole where I could see in the waiting room, because I wanted to see how they acted outside before they came in. And he said, year by year by year, he said, when it first started, they used to speak one way outside. And when they came in, like the switch went, and they realised.
That's what I'm saying, the informal
they had
and
to
the formal.
And he said, year by year by year, the difference between them being outside and inside has got less and less. And he said, so this is like over 10 years ago now. He said, now they come in, they couldn't give a damn who I am. They come in, the questions that he said, they come in and say, how much am I going to get? And how much actually goes into my account? And he said, they're talking to me like they would outside. He said, I watched it happen. Like they now don't care any difference between who that, because to them, the world revolves around them now. Whereas before, you would put on pretenses.
Is that about language? I mean, just listening to what you're saying, it seems to me
that wasn't just about language. It was about attitude.
Well, it's actually, I think there's a broader sense that there's a sense of entitlement in certain groups in society. There certainly is that idea in the United States.
You can get everything you want from
millennial
your phone.
thing. Well, and everything, it's instant gratification.
Yeah.
And
no, but now children have been abused. Okay, that they've now walking around like the world, I should be a celebrity and I shouldn't have to work.
Well,
for
everyone
it.
wins.
And it happened
in my
slowly,
country,
happened
it's a
very
huge
slowly.
problem.
But now it is ridiculous. It is mental. When I'm in,
It's great. Yeah, it's
no, it's like abuse. When I'm in the gym and I see people exercising and they've got their mobile phone in the hand, and I watch it from one person to two people. It would be in the change room. Then one person had it in the gym. Then it wouldn't be when they're doing that, but it would be that. But now it is when they're doing that. Now they're on the squat machine and they're doing. And now it is. I'm exercising. Drop the weight and get back onto the phone as if the exercise is getting in the way of being on the phone. I saw the other day. It's multiple times every single day, and no one says this is mental. Like this is like
I think we do go it's mental, but I just think I don't care.
You're just saying let it burn.
Yeah, I'm just like
Can't stand it. It's just the curse of Cassandra. I keep going on about it. It's like you're watching everyone run to the edge of a cliff, and I go, would somebody please control society? No.
I can download my programs onto my tablet and watch them like when I'm on the bus. That is genius. Like,
But every time you're looking at the screen, you're things. I keep saying this to you. You're held in by your experiences. You're not you. I know this from me and other people going up and down society. You're held in when you stop doing things like talking to strangers and going to places you don't know and feeling. When you put headphones on and stare at a screen, what you think you is falls away, and all you have to do is flick forward 50 years. Everyone's suffering with anxiety. We said this before about them. People being scared, young people being scared of doorbells ringing or people phoning them on a phone. That's in one generation.
You can do that on a phone.
Yeah, but that's happening in one generation. That's one generation. When
Yeah.
that's
just the
happening.
Uber Eats guys.
So go forward 100 years, everything will be
No, I'm
from that
kind of
door
with
locked.
Theo on this, that I find it a little bit disconcerting. I think that the individual isolation, I mean, there's a definite trend to that. Everybody's much more inward looking than even 5 years ago.
Yeah, and everything, and when that happens there, anxiety goes up here. I said this before, right? It annoys me every time I go to the gym, where one of the gyms I go to, I notice an advert and it's saying about being safe. This is your safe space, blah, blah. In every advert, the word safe came up 6 times. We want people to feel safe. This is a safe space. We accept all sexuality. Isn't it? You are safe. If you want this, you can call the safe number. I thought, safe. That's 6, and it's every half an hour. Because I think they're trying to get everyone, that they assume everyone's going to be for at least half an hour. So they play. But what happens is, when you hear that, your body assumes out there isn't safe. That's what happens to the human being. It's not, oh, it's safe in here. No, what you're hearing is, it's safe here, you're safe here, you're safe here. It's like brainwashing.
It's a little bit pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, isn't it?
Well,
yeah,
all
but
of a
it's
sudden you're
literally-
just thinking of it like, wait, what should I be worried about?
Again, but it's the thing, the safe, you're safe. You go, but that creates outside, you're not. It's like you said, nobody looks further than past the bloody end of their nose. You go, what does that create?
This is
anxiety
our
levels are
problem,
going up.
is that we are probably old enough between us to remember the before times, before the internet,
Yeah.
and like before mobile phones
yeah.
and all that, and like, and you know, unfortunately, moving forward, you know, we will be the last people who'd probably do.
We'll be
you know.
those ones in the Matrix. We're like, oh, born in Zion. Look, I don't have the plugs.
But everything has gone inside. Your food deliveries, dating apps, the communicating through Zoom, which is the big thing now, because that was really a changing moment where people think, oh, it'd be great working at home. Yeah, okay. And in 30 years, are we going to have documentaries about anxiety and people can't go out the house because they're scared of people? You are taught to be scared of everyone now. You think, when did it happen? When did a stranger become a threat? Like somebody you don't know become a threat? Because it never used to be
Well,
like that.
I don't know. I'm a woman. Sorry.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna say nope. And I've lived in some, places in New York City where I felt scared a lot of the time.
No, yeah, I understand that.
But I think that this way in which we are not used to interacting in the way we did even 2 years ago before COVID, really, it has impact and it's real. And anxiety is just one of
Yeah, that was another thing that
manifests
changed
itself.
that. But if we all start doing this, and just another thing of you can do it at home, then society, one generation.
Awkwardness. I feel like there's an awkwardness. I mean, when I have to get dressed to go out, I honestly do sort of think about it a little more than I used to. It's
But
like,
see,
ooh,
that's
what should I wear? I will not use the rota of sweatpants that I've been wearing
Yeah.
for the last 3 months.
Yeah, you actually like, oh yeah, that jumper has an awful lot of food on it. I
It's
probably shouldn't wear that out. Yeah.
It's just, will somebody do something? It's exhausting.
You don't have to worry about it.
But I
humanity
just
is
want to go
relax
100
and let it
years,
happen.
I
And
think the most-
everyone's petrified
Yeah, but it
and
doesn't
can't go out
matter.
of the house. Everything's indoor. Windows have now become tinted because people are looking through windows, and it's scary to have a two-way window.
Yeah, it could be snipers out there.
It'll go mental. It'll just be, and everyone will be just doped up on what was that noise? What was that noise? What was the thing? Oh, somebody's calling me. Oh, it's a text as a threat. You know, you go, but why don't we fix it now when you can see it happening?
Have you ever seen the movie Surrogates?
No. What's that?
It's not very good, but it does have.
It's a latter day Bruce Willis.
Yeah, it's
what's
Bruce
the-
Willis in a wig. It's in that
Oh,
time.
that
when
actually
it was-
sounds kind of fun. Tell us about that.
It is about this thing where they have like everyone has like a little pod in their house,
Yeah,
and
here
then
we
they
go.
get in the little pods, and then they like VR control someone who. So
Oh.
look, they have a sort of robot
avatar.
body that goes out, and they just sit inside all day, and they just in this like VR pod.
Sounds like the
thing.
metaverse.
Yes, I mean it is.
But the idea is that you can go out physically and you sort of feel everything, don't you? So rather than it being
Oh, right,
VR,
see.
you're an
Yeah, well, there you
you're
go.
sort of- it's
Brain
like
is-
Avatar or
brain's
whatever.
gone.
You're
Yeah.
sort of experiencing everything, like Matrix. Almost, you're experiencing everything to the first hand. But like, it's a shame 'cause it's not. It's an interesting concept, not a very good film. Like, it's
not the
but it's a really interesting concept in that. But like, it doesn't explore it. It gets all muddled, but it doesn't explore it.
But
yeah.
that's what's happening. That's what
Yeah.
I mean. But why don't we sort it now? Why does everything have to go extreme before? And they do documentaries. You go, well, we never knew it was going to happen. Yeah, well, I'm telling you now, it's going to happen. Like everyone's medical.
But do you think we'll be self-reflexive enough at that point to actually look at it? I see, that's sort of what I wonder about. It's like being a frog boiled slowly. These changes are so gradual.
Yeah,
And
and I'm
then-
surprised it's happening faster because I watch it year to year, especially with young people. I see the drop off. I see the more. Sometimes I'll go to speak to somebody in the gym, and they're petrified, as if like, why is this person talking to me? I'm thinking, I'm just asking, like, and it's like,
Is that
what's
is that-
going on?
Theo,
Like,
you're
Jesus.
you're a big guy. Is
I
that
knew you
just-
was gonna
no,
say
no, no,
that.
no. I'm just saying.
See, I could back up your story, which annoys me more because people have said like, "Oh, I threatened them." I'm thinking,
No.
I can't even raise my
What's
voice.
that, lassie? There's someone down the well.
Okay, right,
Oh, we didn't even get a chance to talk about.
right. Look, we've got 5 minutes.
You've got
Great.
5 minutes.
Okay.
So
Yeah, obviously we've all been keeping abreast of what's been going on abroad, and
yeah, we'll have to tackle that another time.
and the slap.
Well, there's been 2 slaps: Vladimir and Putin, and what's his name?
That's the big slap.
Yeah,
we
that's
want to
the-
talk about the little slap. right?
Slap.
Well, okay. I think that Will Smith did the world a huge favor, and
No.
he lifted the world's spirits in a very dark time. Took all our minds off all this nuclear war and fake
No,
Russia.
do you know what I said about another down step in society that you have to watch out for? That was another one. Somebody got smacked in the mouth on the Oscars, and it's sad because once again, the right wing of these worlds have been given a black man attacking another black man, and another thing to point out. Go, look, there you go. Look what they're like.
I did see a
That's-
tweet, someone saying to the
Yeah,
effect of,
there you go. So
Did you? Okay, now
it's the
see,
worst thing.
That's disturbing too because I actually haven't seen that so much as just this.
Oh, well, I
whole-
saw it. It was from someone who was black saying this is exactly
Yeah,
what
this
they
is what
say
we need.
about
Yeah.
us.
Oh,
They
yeah,
say-
yeah,
they
yeah,
say
okay,
we're
okay,
this,
okay, yeah.
we're
But
this.
I
Well,
said-
yeah, Denzel Washington too, right?
Oh,
I
probably,
mean,
yeah.
But
really
that's what first thing I
understatement
thought.
of
I thought,
all
oh,
people.
some people are going to love this. They're going to love watching this.
I mean, I'm glad Sidney Poitier wasn't there to fucking
just
sit in
think
the
it's really
audience.
more about-
think I broke down barriers.
Puff Daddy had to appeal for calm. Okay, like this is the world we live in now. Like Puff Daddy was the voice of reason here.
Yeah, but I don't think that incident was about race so much. It's all
No,
about
no.
just rich, powerful people behaving badly
Oh no,
because
it's
they
not
think
about
they
race.
can do whatever they want.
It's putting another
Yeah,
bit of
I mean,
ammunition in
Yeah,
people.
it can be
well,
twisted.
that's absolutely true.
Now, the thing
As I said, he would have. Okay, I thought fair play. He bitch slapped Chris Rock. Right, that's pretty funny. Yeah. And Chris Rock was like, "Oh, okay. I'll just stand here and try
he
not to
makes
cry."
a living
for,
taking
like-
pot shots at people. I mean, the comment was really, really uncool. I mean,
No,
it was
you
just
can't.
plain.
But you can't have any. Yeah, but that's no.
The thing is that
that's-
Chris Rock did on one of his most famous stand-ups, and I thought about that when I saw the news. It says he was talking about because this is the kind of level of humor. He was talking about the murder of Nicole Brown Smith, and was it Ron? I forget the name of her boyfriend. Ron Goldman, I believe that is right. Yeah. And he does a whole bit about how he's not saying he agrees with OJ killing them, but he understands. So I watched that and I went, well, I don't agree with Will Smith punching you in the face there, but I understand.
I understand. That's what I'm saying.
But this is all.
He nearly pulled it off, right? Because if he'd slapped him and he sat down and just gone, yeah, what? What?
He should have just done that.
No, just
Like
gone
that,
like
from across there.
just gone. Okay, yeah. No, he should have sat down and go on, go ahead, make another joke,
Yeah.
right? And then done like Eddie Murphy in Doctor Dolittle, yeah, and just sat in the back and laughed his laughed his ass off. At his
Do you know what
routine.
they should have
And,
done?
like, in a weird, threatening way, yeah.
But listening to
But he fucked it up, right? Crying during his acceptance speech. Yeah.
didn't see it.
That's the
Yeah.
that's the icing on the cake.
Well, but his son tweeted, "That's how we do it." Son sort of did.
Well, there you
that.
go. It's another step
And he did
down.
that right in real time. So
Yeah, no, 100%. And like, yeah, because my mate was like, yeah, he goes, God, I feel really bad for his parents, you know, the kids and stuff and his family. Like, imagine, you know, it must be really embarrassed. You know, your dad just got in a fight with some dude, and then I saw them afterwards, and they were like, yeah, they were absolutely fine. You know, and I was like, dude, that was a normal Sunday for them. Like, seeing their dad like punch and
There was a joke.
cry over something, like, you know, over like the family honor. Like, this is like this is a normal morning for them. Like,
But there was a joke in that film, After Earth, because Will Smith plays a strong militant general. We will wrap up very quickly. I can see you. And they were joking that it's basically a documentary about their lives, because every time Jaden Smith wants to do anything, Will Smith just goes, "Are you asking my permission?" "Yes, sir." "Denied." Like that. And that's the.
But we've
the-
so we know now, a line has been drawn further down. We've gone one step down, where
That's right.
now somebody's getting a smack in the mouth on the Oscars because somebody made a joke, which is another thing now. Oh, the joke thing. We're not allowed to have humour anymore.
Yeah.
Another little step down. Just note it down, okay? Because I hate all these things. that
Note
just
it down in
happen.
your logs, gentlemen.
Write it down. We watched it. Another
but-
step down.
I know we're supposed to be stopping, but I gotta just say, as a woman, you know, and a woman who's about Jada Pinkett Smith's age, if somebody made fun of my alopecia in front of billions of people, I'd be sad too. I wouldn't want my partner to punch them out, but that was kind of a low blow. It just was
I don't think she
it's
wanted
not
him to do
funny.
that. Yeah.
I thought
I don't think she
he's
did
getting
either.
some tonight. Like that. That's what I thought they're going to have.
don't know.
I don't know.
She's
like
a tough
And
girl.
you
now
slap
we've
Chris
been
Rock. You
bottom.
slap
Don't
Chris
know.
Rock on the Oscars. You're getting some decent sex.
From listening to the autobiography of him and how everything with them came about and who she is, which I've mentioned before, actually, she was probably more, I don't need you to do that sort of thing for me, I guarantee it. And he's very much an actor. He says in the first line of his autobiography, he's like, I'm an act. Everything's an act. And you see when he's laughing at that, what's happening, and he suddenly realises she looks miserable. Oh, I better get up and do something. That's an act.
She gave him that look. And also, I think that the slap was not possibly for that joke. I think it was for the first joke. Because there was that lady, and she basically called him a cuck. And like he's like, ha ha ha.
What was that? What?
Oh, there was a joke beforehand about they sort of loosely mentioned their open marriage, and
Oh, I didn't hear.
oh yes, and it was. I think that
But
was.
they talk about that's not fair game
He was
because
still
they talk
laughing.
about it all the time.
Yeah, but
I mean, that's sort of like the
has
I'm
cuck-
famous. You're making my life miserable because you stalk me. Well,
he has cuck rage. Okay, like because you know, I just think like. I'm not sure he's entirely happy with this situation, and I have to say it's sort of built up into so you know you sometimes I can't read, but there are some types of rages people have, you know.
Yeah, but he had too long a walk
Kerem's
up
got
for it to be a
wrap-up.
rage.
Sorry, yeah. There we go.
He's about to get up and slap
All right.
me across the... Right, so just make a note of it that on that date, society went down one step. So whenever now the next person starts to do something on the stage, and then that person starts to do it, there we go. But remember, it started here. Somebody walked up for the first time and smacked somebody in the mouth on the Oscars, regardless of what it was about. So that was it. All right,
Okay.
Kerem. All right, Kerem's got the mic bite going. Okay, right, so that's the show. So that was your show, Dr. Kerem. So you're going to come back and help us out with the interviews and things like that, hopefully.
yeah.
Imagine
It's my
if
new chair.
you'd said no. That would have been incredible.
She said, well,
Just
let's
Do I
talk
get
about
invited
it.
back?
Credit,
Do I
yeah.
get invited back?
Oh, that's it. Well, anyway, that's the show. We'll be back within a week.
probably.
Hit it, Kerem.
Here's your story, let's begin. The water's fine, come on, dive in. The future's here, it's right before your eyes. Step by step, you're on your way. Welcome to a brighter day. Don't you know it feels good to be alive? You could be larger than